Right now, inside the womb, something deeply strange is happening to your baby. Your baby is floating in warm fluid, peaceful and weightless and small. And every 30 to 40 minutes, they pee directly into that fluid. Then they swallow it back down without hesitation. Not by accident, not just once, continuously, all day and all night, for months on end without stopping. This is not a glitch in the system somewhere along the way. This is the system working exactly as it was designed to work. By the third trimester, the fluid surrounding your baby is almost entirely their own urine. Recycled, swallowed, processed, and released again in a quiet, endless biological loop. Most parents never hear about this part of pregnancy at all. It sounds disturbing on the surface, like something has gone terribly wrong inside. But this cycle is one of the most important things keeping your baby alive. Without it, their lungs would simply not grow at all. Without it, doctors would be racing the clock to save them somehow. So, let's walk through what is actually happening in there right now. Around week 10, your baby's kidneys quietly begin doing their job for the first time. They filter, they process, they produce urine for the very first time ever. That urine has nowhere to go but out into the surrounding space. So it flows into the amniotic sac, mixing with the fluid your baby floats in. At first, the volume is tiny, barely measurable at all by any device. But your baby keeps growing, and the kidneys keep working harder every single week. By the second trimester, urine production becomes the dominant source of amniotic fluid. Your body stops being the main supplier of that protective fluid. Your baby takes over completely from there on out. And here is exactly where the loop closes in on itself. Your baby is also swallowing constantly, around the clock, constantly, instinctively, the way they will one day swallow milk from a bottle. They drink the fluid surrounding them, sometimes by the cup, every single hour. That fluid travels down their developing throat and into their tiny stomach below. It gets absorbed into the bloodstream, just like a sip of water would. Then their kidneys filter it again, producing more urine to release outward, which goes back into the sac, which they drink again moments later without thinking, over and over and over and over again. By the third trimester, the math becomes almost unbelievable to think about deeply. Nearly all of the fluid your baby floats in came out of their own body first. You read that right. Your baby is drinking their own pee, almost exclusively for months on end, and it is keeping them healthy in every way imaginable. This is the part that breaks most people's brains a little bit. Because nothing about that sentence sounds healthy in the world we live in. But the womb is not the world outside the body. The womb plays by completely different rules than anything we know up here. Inside that sealed, sterile environment, urine is not waste in the way we imagine. It is fresh, filtered, clean fluid your baby's body just produced moments before. There are no bacteria inside the amniotic sac at all, anywhere. There is no exposure to air, no contamination, no germs to worry about there. The fluid is sterile in a way nothing else in human life ever truly is. It is also full of nutrients, hormones, and proteins your baby needs to grow strong. Some of those nutrients come from you, crossing through the placenta in steady waves. Some are produced by the baby themselves inside their own tiny growing body. Every time they swallow, they absorb a little more of what they need. So this loop is not just basic survival happening in there. It is nourishment. It is rehearsal. It is one of the strangest gifts the human body ever gives to its young. Now, let's talk about why this matters so much for the lungs specifically. Because this is the part most parents have never been told about before. Your baby cannot breathe air inside the womb at all, ever. There is no oxygen to inhale, no atmosphere to fill little lungs with there. But the lungs still need to practice expanding and growing every single day. So, your baby does something genuinely remarkable inside that warm, dark fluid. They breathe in the fluid itself. They pull amniotic fluid into their tiny lungs, then push it back out again. This happens hundreds of times every single day without ever stopping. It is a kind of dress rehearsal for the moment they are finally born. And for that rehearsal to work properly, there must be enough fluid available always. The cycle of peeing and swallowing keeps the volume exactly where it needs to be. If your baby stopped urinating, the fluid would slowly disappear over time. If they stopped swallowing, the fluid would build up dangerously high inside there. The loop is what keeps everything in perfect, delicate balance constantly. It is what keeps the lungs stretching, growing, and developing the air sacs needed. Without this cycle, the lungs would never reach the size required to breathe air. A baby born without proper lung development faces terrifying odds at the moment of birth. Doctors call the condition pulmonary hypoplasia, and it is brutal to witness firsthand. Tiny lungs that simply cannot expand, no matter how hard the baby tries. This is why the pee and drink cycle is not gross at all when you understand it. It is sacred in a quiet, biological way. It is the difference between a baby who can breathe and one who cannot. And doctors know exactly how important this loop really is to survival. This is why they watch the amniotic fluid level so carefully at every appointment. When you go in for an ultrasound, they are measuring more than just your baby. They are measuring the fluid surrounding your baby with great care every time. They are checking that the cycle is still running smoothly inside there, as it should. There are two main things that can go wrong with this loop in pregnancy. The first is called oligohydramnios, when the fluid level drops too low. This often means the kidneys are not making enough urine to sustain proper levels. It can signal kidney problems, placental issues, or growth restriction in the baby. When fluid drops, the baby has less room to move and practice breathing freely. The lungs can stop developing properly within just a few short days of low fluid. Doctors take this incredibly seriously and may recommend early delivery to save the baby. The second condition is polyhydramnios, when there is too much fluid building up instead. This often means the baby is not swallowing enough of the fluid back down. It can signal a blockage in the digestive tract or a neurological issue at play. The fluid keeps coming in, but has nowhere to actually go anymore. The uterus stretches dangerously, increasing the risk of preterm labor for the mother carrying. So, when your doctor measures fluid levels, they are watching the loop itself work. They are making sure the kidneys produce and the throat swallows in proper rhythm. They are making sure the rehearsal keeps going without any interruption at all. A baby in trouble often shows it first in the fluid, not the body itself. The fluid is the early warning system that doctors trust the most by far. This is why a routine ultrasound can catch problems no parent could ever feel coming. Now, here is the part that surprises most expecting parents the most when they hear it. Your baby is also tasting that fluid as they drink it down each time. Their taste buds form early, around week 13 or 14 of pregnancy growth. And the flavor of the amniotic fluid changes based on what you eat each day. Garlic, vanilla, carrots, spices, all of it crosses through to your baby in there. So when your baby swallows, they are sampling your meals from the inside out. They are learning what your family eats before they ever take their first breath. Studies have shown that babies prefer flavors they were exposed to in the womb earlier. If you ate a lot of carrots, your baby is more likely to enjoy carrots later. If you drank coffee daily, that flavor profile becomes familiar to them too over time. The loop is not just hydration and lung development happening quietly in there. It is the start of taste, of preference, of food culture itself beginning to form. Your baby is being shaped by every single meal you eat each day of pregnancy. And the urine they produce afterward carries traces of those exact flavors back through, which they then drink again moments later in another cycle. The cycle becomes a kind of memory written in liquid form over months, a liquid record of everything they have lived through inside you for many weeks. Then there is the role this fluid plays in pure physical protection of the baby. The amniotic sac cushions your baby from every bump, every step, every small fall. Without enough fluid, even gentle movements could cause real harm to them in there. The loop keeps that cushion at exactly the right depth all of the time. It keeps the umbilical cord from getting compressed against the baby's tiny body anywhere. It keeps the temperature stable, like a perfect warm bath that never cools down. It allows your baby to move, kick, stretch, and turn their entire body freely. That movement is how they build muscles and joints and bones over time properly. A baby who cannot move freely will not develop properly before birth happens. So the fluid is not just keeping them clean and safe inside there, it is giving them the space to become who they are meant to be eventually. When labor finally begins, the loop reaches its final, beautiful purpose at last. The amniotic sac ruptures and the fluid flows out in a sudden, warm rush. That is what people mean when they say the water broke at home or in the car, but it was never just water flowing out of you in that single moment. It was months of recycled urine, swallowed and produced and refined countless times over. It was nutrition, lubrication, and 1,000 small lessons in flavor for your baby. It was the medium that made every breath your baby will ever take possible to begin with. And in that final rush, It lubricates the birth canal too for the delivery itself, helping your baby slide into the world they have been preparing to enter for months. Most parents are never told any of this beautiful biological truth at any point. They imagine the womb as a clean, simple, glowing place inside the body somewhere, a still pool where their baby gently grows in silence and warm peace forever. The truth is messier and stranger and far more beautiful than that simple image suggests. The truth is a tiny human floating inside their own filtered, recycled fluid for months, drinking, peeing, breathing, tasting, learning every single moment of every single day in there, running an ancient biological loop that has worked perfectly for millions of years already, a loop that sounds wrong in every possible way until you finally understand it deeply. And then it sounds like a quiet, ordinary miracle hiding inside every single pregnancy ever. Your baby is drinking their own urine right now as you read this very sentence. They are doing it because their body knows exactly what it is doing in there. They are doing it because evolution figured out something brilliant a very long time ago. That waste in the right environment is not waste at all anymore in the body. It is fuel for life and growth. It is rehearsal for the breath to come. It is the entire reason your baby will be able to take their first breath at birth. So the next time you feel them kick, remember what is really happening inside you now. There's a tiny person in there, perfectly cycling everything they need to grow strong. There is a system more elegant than anything humans have ever designed themselves anywhere. There is a loop closing and opening, closing and opening, every minute of every single day. And it is keeping your baby alive in there right now as you breathe, not in spite of the strangeness of it all happening inside, because of it.